There we go. So good afternoon, everybody. Good evening on your side. Welcome to the third session of the NLP course. And today, as you know, I think we're going to be looking at some other aspects of NLP, namely some aspects that have to do with language and how to access the subconscious mind, which is very much where the magic happens, meaning most of the things that stop us on our tracks in terms of development, in terms of personal development, is very often things that we have stored in our subconscious mind. So how can we work with our subconscious mind for change? Okay, now there are many, many ways, and I'm going to address a few of them. I'm being asked to speak Urdu. I am Portuguese. I do not speak Urdu. I speak English. I apologize for that, but very good.
Maria, you can give me 1 minute.
Yes, certainly.
अच्छा, ये है कि ये जो सेशन है ये इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस था, तो ऊपर हमने मेंशन भी किया था, तो ये सेशन इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में होगा। और जो लोग कोर्स में इंटर हुए हैं उन सबको पता ही है इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में कोर्स है, तो काइंडली आप इनवाइट करें ऐसे मैसेजेस से। जी मारिया, आप स्टार्ट। मारिया, ओवर टू यू।
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So as I was saying, we're going to look at different aspects that can be used in terms of NLP that can help us access the subconscious minds of the people that we work with, either in terms of therapy or even when we are talking to other people. It could be friends, it could be okay, I'm being told that there is audio issues. Is everybody having audio issues?
No, ma'am, your audio is very clear. You just carry on.
Okay, very good. So let's carry on then. Right, so let's start with, I'm not necessarily going to follow this, what I have here as part of the session, but we definitely are going to look at the meta model. We're definitely going to look at metaphors, then negatives as a way to bypass the subconscious, and submodalities, changing submodalities, the Milton Model, and meditation and trance states. That's very much what we're going to do here today. So it's a session packed with information and some exercises. So let's see if we can take this to, you know, a good finishing end. Now, you already, if you've been with me in the first and the second session, you already know this slide, which has to do with NLP Communication Model. And what does the NLP Communication Model tell us? The NLP Communication Model tells us that we absorb information from our environment through our senses, right? So in the last session, we were looking at representational systems. So we take in information through our senses, our sense of vision, of hearing, and of touch, or emotions, senses, and as we take it in, there's usually one or two representational systems, which are our main representational systems. Usually there's one prominent one, and then there's a secondary and a third. We work with them all, but some are more prevalent than others. And I took you through an exercise in the last session where you could access or assess actually what your main representational system was. Now, so as we take in information through our senses, because there's so much information at our disposal, but we can't take it all in, we tend to reduce it to between, as I said in the last session, anything between 5 and 9 focus of information at the same time. So in average, we've got 7 focus of information that we take in. Now, having all that information at our disposal, as we take it in, we tend to do 1 or 3 things with that information so that we can actually take it in. We usually either generalize, distort, or delete information so that we can make sense of it. And how exactly do we generalize, delete, and distort the information? Based on our filters, based on our map of the world. And the same way that we do that when we take the information in, okay, now in our head, we're going to form an internal representation of what we're seeing, what we're hearing, and what we're experiencing through those filters. So that forms what we call in NLP our map of the world, okay? And we very much assess, evaluate the environment that we're in based on those filters, based on that internal representation of the world. And as we speak, and that's exactly what we looked at in the previous session, as we speak in our speech, we're also relay information using generalizations, distortions, and delusions. Now, what that means is, let me see if I can show you. Okay, so the meta model, it's a model, a strategy, a tool, which we use when we listen to people saying certain things, and we realize that there's more to what they're saying than they're actually saying. So the method model is help us, either as coaches or therapists, or just as the regular person talking to another person. It helps us challenge what the person is saying. But it's a challenge on the basis of curiosity, never judgment. Okay, there's no such thing as judgment in this in this tool. Okay, so it's basically wanting to challenge that, and challenge in what way? Either, like the subtitle says, chunking it down, so going from surface to depth of language and wanting to understand what exactly do people mean with what they're saying. And also challenging people in terms of their map of the world, okay? The idea being to expand their map of the world, because very often what keeps us stuck in a pattern or in a behavior or in a train of thought or mindset, let's put it that way, is actually that map of the world, which to a certain extent only allows us to see things, people, circumstances in a certain way. Okay, so by using the meta model, we want to expand people's map of the world, as well as contributing to understand them better. Okay, and as I have here on the slide, the meta model is extremely important. It plays a big role in making the subconscious conscious. So if you were with me also in the first session, as well as the workshop that I gave on NLP, you will know that that's exactly what NLP is meant to do, okay? To turn what is subconscious conscious, because that is the only way, that is the first step for change. Now, let me give you then some examples of what it means to work with deletions, generalizations and distortions, not necessarily in this order. So when we delete something, obviously we are going to leave some things out, which means that we are going to be missing information, okay? Now, something quite important is how do we challenge what people are telling us, okay? How do we challenge what people are telling us? Basically by using questions. And the questions that we use are questions like who, what, where, when, how. Okay, these are the main questions that we use to challenge what people are telling us. So the only question that we usually don't use in NLP, okay, is why. And why don't we use why? Because why usually comes up with a story, okay? It doesn't really go to the nitty-gritty of what people are saying. Usually people start waffling away, speaking, chatting, and they still keeping on the surface. They're not really going deep down to what it is that they're meaning. So what we usually, when we want to understand, let's say, the reason for something, rather than asking why, we ask, for example, let's say that someone would say, I'm stressed, okay? Rather than asking, why are you stressed? Okay, the question following the NLP communication model would be, what is making you stressed? Okay, in what way are you stressed? Okay, so I wouldn't ask why. Asking someone what is making you stressed, in what way are you stressed, is actually going to allow the person to give me access to their internal representation of what being stressed is. And that is the whole point. The point is knowing the structure of that is being used for the person to feel stressed, rather than, you know, the outside reasons, the external reasons that the person could give me for being stressed. If that makes sense to you guys, okay? So this is NLP, because it wants to make the subconscious conscious. It actually wants to, it's always a journey within, okay? It's an internal journey. So our focus, it's not outside ourselves, it's inside ourselves. Whatever is happening outside is causing us to have an internal representation of what is happening outside, based again on our own filters of our map of the world. So that's exactly what we want, not only to have access to, but help people become aware of. Because very often when we're stuck, we don't really have the idea why we're stuck, okay? Otherwise we wouldn't be stuck, right? So that's, like I say, awareness is always the first step in a change process, okay? Right, so let's go then to the two examples of delusions, okay? So someone might say something like, I feel alone, or I am upset. So what is it that I don't know here? For example, what's upsetting you? Or what's making you feel alone? Okay, so why again wouldn't be a productive question here? Okay, it's what I want is to know even how are you making yourself upset? Okay, or how are you upset? Okay, because very often again we put the focus on something outside us without realizing that what is actually making us upset is an internal process. It's the way that we are interpreting the situation we're in or what someone said, okay? Then sometimes someone might say something like, he is the most intelligent person on the team, okay? What makes him the most intelligent person, for example, okay? How is he the most intelligent? Okay. Then something like no one cares anymore. Okay, so we don't know exactly who doesn't care. Who doesn't care? No one. Okay. And then sometimes you have something like, I want to learn. So the questions here could be, okay, what do you want to learn? How do you want to learn? Where do you want to learn? So anyone, or when do you want to learn? So any one of these questions will give me a lot more information as to what the person is saying. So in all these examples, we're missing information, okay? So by accessing what is missing, we'll have a better picture of what's going on in terms of the internal representation. Does this make sense so far? Okay. Yes, so very good. No.
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Just okay. Yes, ma'am. Yes, it does. Okay, good. Very good. Right. So let's carry on. Then we got distortions. Okay. So we distort something. For example, yeah, in NLP, we're not very fond of nouns, okay? Because nouns are concepts, but it doesn't really tell us what is happening or how is something happening. So when someone says like, his behavior is unacceptable, I can ask questions like, how is he behaving? Okay. That gives me information, deep information as to what is unacceptable for that person in a behavior, okay? Or I could say, how is it unacceptable? Okay, so then you make me angry. Now, I love this one because we tend to do this so very often, right? It's someone else's fault. It's not what we're doing in our minds. It's what the other person is doing. So you make me hungry. So here I could ask, am I making you angry? Okay. Or what is making you angry? Very good. There's a good point here. What makes you angry? Very good. Or how am I making you angry? Okay, because then I'll know exactly what it is, the trigger for the person. Okay, then yeah, then there's distortions like assuming that you know what the other person thinks. I know what is best for him. How do you know what's best for him? Okay, for example, what is best for him? Then X equals Y. You know the answer, so you are clever. Okay, so how is knowing the answer make me clever? Okay, what makes me clever in this particular circumstance? So as you see, how is actually one of the best questions that you can ask, okay? Other than anything else, how is always a lovely way of knowing. So it's one of the ways of knowing how the person is, what strategy the person is using, in what way is the person interpreting the situation, whatever the person heard, etc., etc. Okay, it gives me the nitty-gritty, like I said before, of the internal process in the person's mind. Then values or opinions, that's perfect. How is that perfect? What makes it perfect? Today is a great day. Again, what makes this day a great day? How is this a great day? Etc., etc. Now, in terms of generalizations, it's when you take it to the extreme and you say something like, everyone knows this is easy. Everyone? Are you going to tell me that the whole world population knows that this is easy? Okay, so here we would probably just ask, with generalizations of this way, everyone or no one, the question would be, everyone? Really? Or, I'm curious, no one? Now, the intonation with which we ask these questions, it's also very, very important, okay? Because depending on how you ask the question, the intonation, it might sound in curiosity or it might sound aggressive. So we have to be very, very careful how we ask the questions, okay? Because in asking the question, you want to use it to expand the person map of the world. You want to have access to the subconscious processes that the person is applying to a certain circumstance. You definitely don't want to corner the person by using an aggressive, for example, tone of voice or defiant tone of voice, okay? It's challenging, not defiant. Okay, and that's very important because if we know what how the brain works and what the main function of the brain is, which is basically survival, okay, our brain's main function is actually our survival. And so our brain is constantly surveilling the atmosphere, our environment, to send the signals whether the circumstances, the environment is safe or dangerous. So and that can be physically dangerous or emotionally dangerous. So, you know, the brain doesn't necessarily distinguish. Danger is danger, no matter whether it's physical or whether it is emotional, and whether it is real or imaginary. We've already seen that, if I'm not wrong, in the NLP workshop. Which is, for example, when I talked about phobias, right? A person who's got a phobia is not necessarily living the situation that the person is phobic about, but it's imagining the situation, the worst case scenario, right? And the brain can tell the difference between imaginary and real. And we saw that from a beneficial perspective when I shared with you in the first session of this course, the twist exercise, okay? Where I asked you to think of the possibility of being able to twist further, okay? And every time that you did it, you managed to go further in your twist as you twisted. So that is also the brain not recognizing what is imaginary and what is actually real, okay? You give a command to your brain and the brain follows. So the way you give commands to your brain, it's extremely, exactly, the arm stretch exercise, very good. So So what I mean is the brain doesn't really know the difference between real and imaginary, okay? And it can be a good thing, and it can be a detrimental thing. So the focus, the command that you give your brain is the most important, okay? And so we should always be aware of where we're putting our attention. What is our focus? What we can or what we can't do? What is possible or what is impossible? Okay, very good. Then we have situations that imply the use of things like you can do that. How can you do that? Very often it's the other way around. Okay, very often it's people saying I can't. Okay, I think that is usually more common than actually I can do it. Okay, so very often what people say is I can't something. Okay, so the questions here would be, what stops you? Yes, we can. There's more to it. Someone is asking me, can we reduce anxiety disorder and stress through this method? Let's say that this method, okay, would allow me, by talking to you, to understand what is making you stressed and how is it that you are stressed, okay? So that would give me access to your internal representation, the internal representation of what is making you stressed. From then on, then we would move on to work with probably some NLP techniques, or in my case, quantum healing techniques as well, to help you deal with anxiety or stress, okay? Overthinking as well, yes. Overthinking is actually a very interesting situation, which one of these days we probably will look into in more detail, okay? But yes, everything is some very interesting shares in the comments. So you must do this. You can also challenge this by asking, how must I do this, for example? When must I do this? Or where must I do this? Okay. Then presuppositions, meaning information implied in the sentence. Which of the reports will you do first? Or the man came to fix it. Fix what exactly? Okay. What man? Who came to fix it, for example? So etc., etc. So these are just examples of some of the situations, some of the things that people say, and how we can listen to what they're saying and explore what they're saying. Again, please remember, always in the spirit of curiosity, using a very curious tone of voice, so not to send people into a defense mode, okay, because they feel cornered. And the idea is to help the person expand its map of the world, see possibilities where initially they see impossibilities, and in therapeutical processes to help help the person develop from there, okay? Like in stress situation, or dealing with stress or anxiety or overthinking, okay? So that's very much what I have to share with you about the meta model. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is, I shared a document with the hosts, and I will ask the hosts to share it with you towards the end of the session, so that you can have a look and see if you can understand. It's basically an exercise where I asked you to see if you can identify whether a generalization, distortion, or deletion is being.
Okay, wait, I sent.
Okay, very good. Now, as to metaphors, I totally, honestly love metaphors. And they are a great way of helping people overcoming stuckness. Okay, so I'll share with you one example of a situation like that, where I use the metaphor in a coaching process. So not so long ago, I was taking someone through a coaching process who was going through a medical procedure that didn't allow her to enjoy the beach. So she loves going to the beach and she loves being in the sun. But unfortunately, due to the medical procedure that the person was going through, she couldn't go to the beach at that point. And so as she was saying that she was really sad because she couldn't go to the beach, what I did was, okay, so let's see this. Let me just check the chat. Metaphors, yes, metaphors can help overcome a lot of situations, okay? And so when she said, I'm sad because I can't go to the beach this summer, right? I said, okay. And when you're watching a film and suddenly you need to go, let's say, to the kitchen to get something to eat or something to drink, or maybe you need to go to the toilet, right? What is it that you do? And she says, oh, I would pause the film. And I said, okay. And so when you come back, what do you do? And she says, oh, I press play. And I said, okay, very good. Did you miss anything from the film? And she said, no, I just carry on where I left it. And I said, okay, do you think we can do the same for the beach situation? Can you press pause and whenever you're ready, press play and go back to enjoying the beach the way you like it? And she looks at me and she goes like, yeah. So, you know, by using a metaphor, the person could look at the situation in a different perspective. Okay. Does this make sense? Could you, next slide, next slide, like, I'll see right now, I'm working with metaphors, so I'll change it whenever I can. Okay, so someone is telling me that it makes sense. Very good. So this is one way of using a metaphor. You're using a metaphor based on a real life situation, something that can somehow seem like a parallel situation, which helps the person reframe the way the person is looking at a situation, which, for example, in this case, made her sad. Okay, it could be something else. Okay. Now, my preferred metaphors are a slightly different kind of metaphor. And for that, okay, I'm going out on a limb here, okay? But would there be anyone in the call that would like me to work with him or her using a metaphor? Is anyone willing to be a volunteer for this exercise so that I can show you in real life time how it works using my preferred type of metaphor? Anyone? Okay, so there's someone here. I'm going to ask the hosts to help me. I don't know if I can pronounce the name correctly, but the first person that say okay was Yasir. Could Yasir be unmuted so that I can speak? My co-host, can you do that for me, please?
Yes, yes.
Okay, very good. So whenever Yasir is on.
Yes, yes.
Okay, very good. Are you on, Yasir? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Very good. Okay, so Yasir, I'm going to ask you to think of, okay, it could be either a challenge or a goal that you have and you would like to achieve. Can you think of either a challenge or a goal that you would like to achieve? You don't necessarily have to share with us what it is, the challenge or the goal, okay? I don't need to know to work with it. So if you are willing to share, all good. If you're not willing to share, it's fine because the process will work anyway. So can you think of a challenge or a metaphor? Sorry, a challenge or a goal? A challenge that you might have or a goal? Yes, and anyone else can piggyback on what I'm going to do. What is going to happen in your minds is different, but you can do exactly what I'm going to do. Okay? So Yasir, let me know. Can you think of either a challenge that you're facing or a
Can
goal?
I tell? Yes, I am facing a challenge.
You're thinking of a challenge.
Yes, I am thinking of a challenge.
Very good. So you've got the challenge. You know what it is.
Yeah, I just recently joined. I don't know the topic, but I can continue with your.
It doesn't. You
curiosity.
don't have to share the challenge with us, like I said. Okay. I just want you to have it in your head. Okay.
Yes, I got it. I got your point, ma'am.
Very good. Very good.
Yes,
So
yes,
what I
yes,
would like to know, Yasir, is the following. What animal are you with that challenge?
What?
What
I'm not
animal?
getting your question. What I have to do with animal? How animal is connected to my goal or my challenge?
Oh, you'll see now. That's the metaphor. Okay. So what animal are you with that goal? Oh, with that challenge, sorry.
What animal? Can you
Yes,
repeat
what
your
animal?
question?
What and no, it's what animal? What animal are you with that challenge? Very good. I've got someone here who's already given me an animal. Whatever the challenge might be, whatever the goal might be, think to yourself, what animal are you with that goal?
Snake, ma'am.
What's that?
Snake.
I'm having trouble.
He say about snack.
A what?
Snack.
A snake. Okay, very good. A snake. Very good, very good. I didn't get it. Okay. Snake. And what animal would you have to be to overcome the challenge?
Sorry, repeat that. Can you repeat kindly?
Yeah, I couldn't hear it this side.
Can you repeat what you are asking? Ma'am, can you repeat?
Oh, yes. Okay, so what animal would you have to be to overcome this challenge? To leave the
Lion?
challenge behind?
Lion maybe.
Okay, is that a lion?
Yes.
Yes, here?
Yes.
Okay, so let me ask you something. What makes you a snake with this challenge?
Can I answer with that line?
You will answer with lion, but I also need to know what makes you a snake having this challenge.
He is a snake is a dangerous animal. We are very to snake because killing the man and other animals
Okay, so do I understand that the reason why you see yourself as a snake with this challenge is because the snake is a dangerous animal, right? Anything else?
Yes. Ma'am, can you repeat it?
Okay, so you are a snake with this challenge because that's dangerous. Is that it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. And you said that to overcome this challenge, you would have to become a lion. Okay, so what characteristics does the lion have that would allow you to
Lion is a real warrior. He can fight. He can, you know, he struggles hard to get his target, to get his food, and he is really a warrior and is, who does real enough hard type of struggle to get his, food, maybe something like that.
Very
He's
good.
really warrior.
Very good. So now let me ask you this. What would it need? What would you need? What would it be necessary for the snake to become a lion?
Snake can never be lion because they both have different characteristics. Lion is a unique in his own capabilities, and snake has different capabilities.
No doubt, they're different animals, but
Yes,
what would allow the snake to become a lion, if that were possible? If that were
maybe
possible.
he need to get that power that lion has, but that snake doesn't have. He need to get that sharpness, that alertness that make him that allows him to catch his food or whatever you call it.
Very good. So now let me ask you, would those characteristics, would those things that you've told me that would need to be present for the snake to become a lion, would they help you overcome your challenge?
We make a mindset to overcome difficulties.
Absolutely. No doubt about that. But my question is, would these characteristics that you've just told me, would these resources, that's what we call them in coaching, would these resources help you overcome the challenge? The ones that you mentioned, sharpness, etc. Would these allow
Yes,
you?
if you are you are a sharp minded person, you are proactive, like you are just brainstorming for what your problem is coming, but you have a solution oriented mindset, and when a challenge comes, you think that you can do it possible. You believe on yourself, just like the lion believe that he will do anything. So you need to believe on yourself, you have to be proactive, you have to be sharp, just to be you have to be in the moment to accept that challenge and to achieve that your goal.
Very good. So I believe that what you're telling me is that yes, with these resources, I would be able to overcome my own challenge, correct?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Okay.
you are right.
Putting it
you are
forward.
right.
Very good. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you now, Yassir, is the following. If you had everything that you've shared with me so far, like the fact that the lion is sharp and proactive and goal solution oriented and confident, so it believes in itself. If you had to, if you had to put all that into a symbol, what would be the symbol that would represent all that in your conscious awareness?
Bravery.
I think simple is being a warrior.
A warrior. So it would be a warrior figure, right?
Warrior.
That is
Like
what, okay, that's what for you symbolizes all of these things: sharpness, proactive, solution oriented, believing in itself, right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good.
Overconfidence,
Absolutely, confidence, etc. That's what you, confidence, believe in itself. It's definitely confidence. Very good. So Yassir, I'm going to ask you to bring that warrior symbol to your conscious awareness. Okay?
Do I have to like vary a
Just-
symbol in
yeah,
my personality?
Just think of that symbol. Okay? Sit in your conscious awareness. If that warrior had a color, what color would it be?
What do you mean by color? I can't understand.
What color could symbolize everything what color would symbolize for you everything that the warrior stands for?
I am not able to understand your colored thing. What is color in your
Color, it
perspective?
could be red, blue, green,
Sorry,
orange.
okay. You
purple.
are talking about color. It might be red or black, whatever.
Okay,
Mo-
red or
more
black,
probab- more-
red and black. Which one is it? It can be both. It can be one of them. What do you say?
Red, ma'am.
Red.
Okay, so red is the color. So Yasid, I'm going to ask you to imagine this red color being absorbed through your skin. Okay.
Yes, I am feeling that the red color is going into my body, and I am
Very
feeling
good.
that.
That's it. Very good. So allow that color to go into your body.
Yes, I am allowing. I'm
And then
allowing. I am
allow
following
that
your instruction.
color. Okay, and allow that. Now just follow my guidance. Okay, at the end you'll share
Yes.
with me what the process was like. So allow
Yes.
that red color to be absorbed by your body, and
Yes,
allow
I am observing.
that color. May I ask you just to listen now? Okay, at the end
Okay.
share with me. So allow that
All right.
red color to be absorbed into your body, and allow that color to go to a place which is, according to your being, the right place to be, like a shrine. Put it in a shrine somewhere in your body where it makes sense to your being that that red color that represents the warrior should be. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And then from that place where you put that color on that shrine, allow that color now to spread throughout your body, inside your body, and go to all the right places where that warrior spirit needs to be.
Yes, I got it.
Very good.
Yes, ma'am.
Allow it even to touch your cells and leave the information of the warrior, the red that represents the warrior there. Okay, so
Yes,
that
ma'am.
I got
your
it.
cells, so that your cells can have that ability to be the warrior spirit.
All right.
Very good.
Ma'am.
And when you're ready, and only when you're ready, allow that red color to float above your past timeline, that line that connects the beginning of our life to this present moment. Allow the red color to go as far over that timeline, that past timeline, as it's necessary. And allow the red color to go to leave its energy in all those places, all those events, next to all the people that somehow might have contributed for that warrior spirit to go missing. And leave the red color there in those places, those events next to those people, and allow it now to be present in all those places, all those events, and next to all those people. You can sprinkle it, or you can leave it there in some way.
Yes, I got it.
Very good. And now you can float slowly and steadily at your own pace towards the present. Having left that energy in all those places. And when you get to the present, just take a deep breath and allow that initial red color to become even stronger in you now that the past has been changed. And we are still going to invite that red color to float above your future timeline, that line that goes from the present to the future, as long as your future may be. And leave that energy, that red color, that warrior spirit in all the right places, all the right events, next to all the people that somehow will allow you to overcome your challenge. Again, sprinkle it or leave it there in some way, so that as you go into the future, it's ready for you to give the step that is necessary to overcome your challenge.
Yes, ma'am.
Go as far as you need in that future timeline, as far as you need, and adjust it in just the right way for you, so that you can overcome that challenge, so that that energy, that warrior spirit is ready, it's there for you. And when you're ready, and only when you're ready, satisfied that that energy has been left in all the places, all the events, and next to all the people that can help you overcome the challenge. Taking as long as you need, just as long as you need, you can come back into the present, knowing that this process will continue, even when you're sleeping or when you are awake, doing your everyday chores, and the process is still going forward, becoming stronger and stronger, deeper and deeper, all the steps of the way. And when you're ready, and only when you're ready, taking as long as you need.
Yes, ma'am, I am ready.
Very good. You can take a deep breath. And you can share with me, now you can share with me what the experience was like.
जी यासर भाई शेयर करें.
What was the experience like?
We have experience to overcome challenges. We are confidence, sharpness.
Was that left in place? Was that left in place for you to work with?
Not able to like understand it is some language, but I have some idea what it is.
Okay, so the idea is, is the warrior spirit now more available to you?
Yes, I can understand.
Okay, very good. So there's a couple of things here in the chat box. Okay. I will not be able to repeat the procedure. I can tell you what the procedure was like. Okay. Okay, very good. Some people follow the process and manage to do it. Very good. Good. Okay, very good. Now, let's see. The idea is that it's complex, okay, because each person is a case. So this could have been very different with different people. But normally, the idea is you start with an animal that represents who you are with the challenge or with the goal, which has not been achieved yet, okay? So this is a metaphor, and there is a reason why the animal is chosen. And the reason is the characteristics that you associate with that initial animal, okay? So if I remember correctly, with Yasir, it was the danger, etc. Okay. Then we want to understand What animal would you have to be once you've already managed to overcome the challenge or achieve the goal? So what animal would you be with that goal achieved, with that challenge overcome? Again, there is a reason, and Yassir was amazing explaining why he would see himself as a lion. Okay, so lion for him is the equivalent to warrior. Warrior has all the characteristics that is so kindly shared with us. Okay, confidence, sharpness, proactive, solution-oriented, all these amazing things. Okay, and then the idea is to turn that into a color or a symbol, and then place that symbol somewhere in you, okay, so that it can become part of you. It can't be external, it has to be internal, okay? And once that is done, then I invite people to go over the past timeline so that they can put this energy, this resource in all the places where somehow it disappeared. Okay, that contributed for this spirit to disappear. Now, according to NLP, we have all the resources we need. It's just that we've forgotten some. Okay, and sometimes we're applying them in some situations and they're missing in other situations. Okay, and then after that, I invited that same resource to be left in the future in all the right places, so that as the person moves on, that resource will be available for him or her for that particular circumstance, meaning in this case, overcoming the challenge, whatever the challenge may be. I don't have to know, he has to know. Okay.
Okay,
Now, someone is asking, does it has any particular reason why it is red? Yes, the color has to be left in the future as well. Okay, we want to change the past and prepare the future. Okay, so basically that's what the procedure is like. There is no, each person can give, a lot of people probably gave it a red color. Some other people might have given it a different color. It doesn't mean anything. It means something to you. Okay, it means something to you. But I can't tell you what it means to you. Only you can know why you chose red. What does red mean to you? If you ask yourself that question, okay, what does red mean to you? It's not why red, it's what does red mean to you? Okay, you will come to the conclusion of what it's like. Okay, now someone is asking, let me see, we have to put the symbol in the past. It's not lost. It's what's happening. It's not being lost. It's leaving the resource where it was missing. Now, this is a little bit about quantum physics as well, okay? It's only in the physical, let me see, it's only in the physical plane, let's put it that way. It's only in the physical that we believe that time is linear. Okay, so past, present, future. From a quantum physics point of view, past, present, and future are simultaneous. So by leaving it in the past, you're allowing it to be accessible in the present and in the future. Okay.
You can go to Einstein theory in quantum.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm a huge fan of Einstein, okay? A huge fan of Einstein. He was a very clever guy, as we know, okay? Red doesn't have to mean danger. For some people, it might mean danger. For other people, it might mean passion, for example, love, okay? So these are the internal processes that I'm talking about. See, different people see different things in one and the same aspect, okay? And that's what we have to be aware of. Okay, that's why one of the principles of NLP is map is not territory, meaning that territory is a lot more than the map. How many times have we used the map and we got lost because the map and the territory didn't really add up? Even with GPS, that happens. Okay. I'm not sure how long it would take. Okay, I'm not sure how long it would take for each one of you to process this and be able to move on from here. Okay, exactly. The idea to leave it in the past, for example, is so that the resource is available there as well. Okay, where it went missing. By changing that, then it's more accessible in the present and in the future. Okay. So that's what it is. So yeah. So basically, but the idea here is, and I love these questions, but I kept the resources in place in my mind, not in the past. Okay, fine. Okay. Your being, our being is extremely clever and knows exactly what to do with whatever is needed. Okay, it'll do whatever is needed for you, what is right for you. Okay, so it's not the first time that I have someone that tells me I didn't go into the past, I didn't go into the future, as I just said in the present. Actually, yeah, if that's what it works for the person, absolutely correct. Okay, so there's no right or wrong here. See, it's always, there's no judgment here. Okay, different people will take different solutions, let's put it that way, from the same procedure. All right, very good. But I love the fact that you guys were able to piggyback. Okay, that's actually amazing. I love it. Right. So, but as you can see, metaphors can be very powerful because very often people say something like, oh, I can't do that. I can't overcome the challenge. But when you work with a metaphor like this, there's no resistance. Did you notice? You may initially feel uncomfortable. It might sound a little bit weird, but you have no idea how many times in my coaching sessions I have someone that is resisting something. And when I go into a metaphor, it goes away. Suddenly, everything is possible. Okay? And this is the beauty of metaphors, because it bypasses the resistance in your subconscious mind. Is this beautiful or is this beautiful? I think this is actually quite beautiful. So, exactly, they focus on the exercise and forget the resistance. Exactly, absolutely. And because not only that, because as you focus on the animal, you forget what you believe it's impossible for you. Okay, now suddenly it's something outside yourself. So that is also very important, because that's also something that we use in coaching, is allowing people to look at, and this can be used in many different ways, but this is one of my favorite. Okay, I love the animal metaphor because it works every single time. Okay,
Ma'am, you mean to hear that what I am able to understand, that whenever you are in a challenge, you are in a problem, you have to associate with yourself with your favorite animal, and
it's
whenever
not
you are
even,
going to,
yeah, it's not even necessarily your favorite. Okay, it doesn't have to be your favorite. Your mind will tell you. Your mind will tell you, who am I with this challenge, and who do I want to be with when I overcome the challenge? Okay, what animal am I? In different circumstances, you will probably come up with different animals. Okay.
So I have to associate with myself with that animal, and what that animal can do in that particular situation. You have to act like that animal. Am I right?
Yes, there is a reason, like I said previously, there is a reason why you see yourself as a certain animal with the challenge, without having been overcome. And then you see yourself as another animal once the challenge has been overcome. Okay, and the reason when we start exploring why are you this animal now and why will you be that animal then, okay, after the fact, you start bringing up what that animal symbolizes for you. Okay.
All right, ma'am. All right.
Ma'am, I have a question. Why we choose animals? We are humans. We are great knowledge, great confidence, sharp,
Absolutely.
sharper,
But
everything.
like I said, it's a way of taking you away from your mind. That's what metaphors do. Very often when we are focused in our minds, we don't see the possibility, okay? Because we're coming from our map of the world, which sometimes see limits where they don't exist. When I take you outside your mind, okay, when I take you into a different, let's say, realm, okay, the fiction realm, okay, suddenly what's impossible for you, it becomes possible for example, those animals. Okay, because you get out of your head. Okay.
It means you are also talking about limiting beliefs. Like we have some limiting beliefs, like I can't do this, I can't leave smoking, I can't do drugs. But you have to make have confidence on yourself that you can do it. Everything is possible, and you can do it. Am I right?
Absolutely. But very often, like I'm saying, you have to get out of your head. Okay, which is where the problem lies. Okay, so if I take you on this journey, you see it outside yourself, and you can see the possibility. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, and for example, I work a lot with animals, but it could be with superheroes. Okay. It could be with superheroes. I love working with animals. I love it every time. But other people might go with different metaphors. Yeah, but it works the same way. Okay, it could even be an object. Okay, it could even be an object. What object are you? What object will you become? It can be anything. It's always about it's mainly about what you see, the initial, whatever it is, animal, object, superhero, or not so much superhero, but what are the characteristics that you see in that initial situation, and what characteristics will the future you will have to have or will have once that challenge or that goal was achieved. Very good. Okay. Some other metaphors. There we go. So it can be superheroes, or it could be, let me think, characters in a series or a film. It could be objects, again, as I was saying just a while ago. It could be, goodness, it could be anything. Cars, for example. Okay, it could be anything, because the important thing is whatever you come up with will have certain characteristics. You see it outside yourself and the resistance goes away. We're working with, as I said, the mind doesn't know the difference between reality and fiction. Okay, so yeah, I wouldn't recommend anyone jumping from a mountain unprotected. Okay, so, but that's not how it works. That's not how it works in terms of using metaphors and this kind of exercise. Okay, so that's that. So this is very much what I had to show you in terms of metaphors and how metaphors work. Let's carry on because time. Okay, very good. So now we get to the next slide, and we're going to talk about negative, using the negative. And what do I mean? Of course, superheroes don't only jump from mountains. It doesn't matter where they're jumping. And then someone is asking me, can this exercise help us become confident? Yes, it can. Of course it can. I have a client, a coaching client, that went from a bunny to a lion. And every time that she needs the lion to come out, she connects to the lion in herself. And things go the way she wants them to go. So, but okay, she also went through the whole coaching process with me. So there's a lot of things that we want to work in order for the person get to that optimal state where, you know, she can see herself or himself more and more, having more and more of those characteristics that are needed to overcome whatever situation the person is. Exactly. Practice makes perfect. Absolutely. Okay. So recently I also had a coachee, a client who, for example, was telling me, Maria, I would really love to go through these relationships as well. Yes. I would really like to go through the whole coaching process again, but is this crazy? And I said, no, actually it's not, because I myself, right, the coach, have gone through the process that I take people through more than once. And every time that I go through it, something else shifts, something else becomes possible. So, you know, more limiting beliefs go away, more resources are added to my toolkit, etc., etc. So practice makes perfect. It's absolutely correct. Okay, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. But that's with everything, right? Even speaking a foreign language, you know, you can't go to class and then not do anything with it. Or even, you know, those of you who are here to wanting to become therapists, it's not going to be one session that it's going to make you the therapist that you can be, right? The more you do it, the more mastery you will have. Okay, it's like driving a car, same thing. Okay, so I've got another question here. I'm not going to give half of the session today, right? But I'm going to go with your questions as well. You've got these inquisitive spirits that I love. So let's see. Do we need a coach to go through these exercises? Can we do it on our own? Yes. Okay. There's obviously the need to understand how to do it. Okay. But once you understand the structure of the exercise, then you can do it yourself. Okay, so usually I at one point I will talk about this again, but besides NLP, the other tool that I use is quantum healing, which is based on quantum physics, which I've already mentioned today. And so I know, and then basically the idea is that in quantum physics, in quantum healing, we have two stages. The first stage is taking people through a process of 5 sessions where we basically, let me say this, we tweak the human operating system. And then the second stage is actually helping people become familiar with certain processes so that they can work on themselves. Okay, and that's why I can proudly say that usually my coachees don't stay with me much longer than between 3 months and 6 months. It depends really, having one session a week, depending really on how deep they want to go. Okay, so let's say that, for example, I worked with someone who was depressive. It took us 15 sessions to overcome that situation. Okay, so it was roughly, I can't remember now in terms of time, but maybe 3 months, I don't know, something like that. She overcame it. I had another coachee that came in for wanting to understand what career she wanted to pivot to, because she wasn't happy in the career she was in. She wanted to find her purpose in life and a career that would make her feel alive, happy, fulfilled. And we went through a lot of processes: career, personal, relationships. We covered them all. It took a little bit longer because we covered all the possible processes that she wanted to go through. So probably, I don't know, maybe it took us 6 months, again, one session at a time, per week. So, you know, and then when they leave me, they know what to do. Okay. And that's the beauty of it. Sometimes they come back with a challenge, but I had a session, for example, where a coachee of mine came because she had a challenge, and then I took her through a process, not like similar to this one, but not necessarily this one. And when they took us to when we got to the end of the process, she looks at me and she says, "This was not that complicated. I have to do this, 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 and this." So she knew exactly what she had to do. But, you know, the process was just needed for her to become aware of what she needed to do. But she already knew what to do at the end of the day, right? And she hasn't come back ever again.
Ma'am, quantum physics does not seem to apply to our human life.
Pardon, I didn't get that. Can you say that again, please?
Ma'am, quantum physics does not seem to apply to humans, our life in real time.
Okay, wait.
Like theories, light theories, time theories, in which time is equal to 0 when we traveling with light speed, then time is equal to 0. It is not possible in our life.
What is not possible in our life? It depends. That's a belief. That is a belief. You can look at Newton physics, which tells you that time is linear, or you can look at quantum physics that tells you that past, present, and future are simultaneous. I know it's a concept which is not necessarily an easy concept to grasp, but I mean, quantum physicists do explore these things too in very much depth. So, you know, we can, yeah, it's basically where you put your focus. So it's very interesting things can happen when you look at the world from a quantum physics point of view. Okay, but I'm not saying, you know, what you believe is what you believe, and I respect that. Okay, I'm not here to convince you that you're right or wrong, or that I'm right or wrong. Okay, it's just that, yeah, sometimes, you know, it also took me a while to grasp some of the quantum physics concepts, but the more I study it, the more I hear people that I consider to be experts in the field, the easier it becomes for me to understand what they're saying. And the more I apply those concepts, the better my life has become. So, but what is true for me doesn't have to be true for everybody. Okay, I can only speak of what I have experienced myself, as well as the people that I work with. And so that's the basis of what I'm doing here, right? It's sharing with you my knowledge and my experience, both having gone through the process, the coaching process, and as a facilitator of coaching processes, okay? And knowing the results that the people that work with me got. That's all I can work with, Okay, I'm not here theorizing. I'm working with what I know to be true in my coaching practice. Okay, but different people will have different points of view. Different people will have different experiences. I respect that. Again, map is not territory. What is true for me doesn't have to be true for everybody. Okay. So now let's talk about very good. Now let me carry on. Otherwise, we're going to get to the end of this our time together, and I won't have covered some of the stuff. Okay. So let's talk about negatives. Okay. And the thing is that I've already said this. First, the brain doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's imaginary, but the brain can also not process negatives. And if you don't believe me, let's do this exercise. Don't think, listen to me, don't think of a pink elephant. Okay? Please, don't think of a pink elephant. What image do you have in your mind right now? When I tell you, don't think of a pink elephant.
Ma'am, ma'am, in real life, no pink elephant.
I know, but it doesn't matter. My goodness, I'm telling you, don't think of a pink elephant. I'm not telling you, look at the pink elephant. I'm saying, don't think of a pink elephant. What do you have in your mind? Okay, some people are saying, I have a baby pink elephant. Other people just say pink elephant. Some people say I'm a rebel. Good, so am I. Okay, but the chances are, yeah, the chances are that you saw a pink elephant. Okay, because your brain, before your brain can erase the pink elephant, first it has to see the pink elephant, because the brain doesn't understand negatives. Okay, so, and this is very important, for example, when we're giving instructions, be it to children or whoever it might be, students, for example, it's also very important. You want to tell them what you want them to do. Yes, you want to tell them what you want them to do, not what you don't want them to do, because you'll end up in their minds, they will have exactly what you don't want them to do. So, for example, I can give you an example of a situation where I was an invigilator in an exam, and I was invigilating the exam with a colleague of mine, another teacher, right? And so their teacher was saying, don't be stressed. And I would say, be calm. She would say, don't leave your backpacks, I don't know, at the back. And I would say, please put your backpacks in the front of the classroom. Okay, so she was giving them the instructions all in the negatives. I was giving them the instructions all in the positive. Because by giving the instructions on the negative, people are going to remember what is on the other side of the negative. Okay, don't be stressed. What is going to be in the people's minds? Be stressed. Don't leave the backpacks at the back. What is going to be in people's minds? Leave the backpacks at the back. Okay, especially if people are not paying attention. And most of the time, we're not that much paying attention consciously to things. We hear, we take them in, not necessarily, you know, deconstructing what is being said. Okay, so we should, like, for example, imagine this, someone telling you, oh, don't forget your homework. Forget your homework. So what is it that I want to say? Please remember to do your homework. That's what I want you to do. Okay, please remember to. People will remember much better than if you give them the instruction in the negative. Now, the funny thing is, the funny thing is that we can use negatives with a positive effect. What do I mean? Now imagine this. Someone tells me, oh, this is going to go wrong. Okay, and I would say, well, don't think of the best case scenario. What do you think that the person is what's going to stick to the person's mind? Think of the best case scenario. And that's exactly what I want the person to do. Okay. Or someone says, oh my God, I'm so stressed. And I would say, oh, don't be calm. What is going to stick to their minds? Be calm. Okay. And it's so amazing. You attempt to do this yourselves, to yourselves. I so very often use this on myself when I'm thinking of something that is not necessarily very positive, and I use the opposite with the negative, and it works every single time. Okay. Or someone says, oh, I'm so frustrated, I'm so desperate. And I say, oh, okay, don't be hopeful. The person is, what is going to stick to the person's mind is be hopeful. Okay, because the brain cannot process the negative. So it can be detrimental or it can be beneficial. It takes sometimes some thinking of, okay, so the person is giving me this, rather than focusing on what he or she wants to happen, she's focused on what could go wrong, so let me use the opposite with a negative. It's amazing what can happen when you use the negatives like that. Okay, so one of these days, if you catch yourself speaking to yourself in the negative, give yourself a negative instruction, but where the positive is actually included. Okay, I'm stressed, don't be calm, and look what happened. Okay, so it works. This is a way that we can use negatives to our benefit. Okay, so it takes a little bit getting used to, because especially if we are I was going to use something now that it's NLP jargon, but I mean, if we tend to look at things from the negative perspective, okay, it's very useful to use the negatives, but with a positive ending to them. Okay. Now let me see.
Ma'am, we always see positive everything.
What's that? Sorry.
Ma'am, we always choose positive things, positive mindset to facing problems and everything.
Well, there's a lot of things that you can do, okay? But one of the things that you can do is practice a lot. Catching yourself thinking in the negative, and, for example, use these negatives in this way to bypass your subconscious mind, because it does it every time, okay? Or another possibility is, can you see what I have here as the heading of this slide? What if? Okay, so you catch yourself saying, oh, this is going to go wrong. Ask yourself, what if it goes right? You may not be able to see it straight away, but you are actually opening a door in your mind for what if it can go right. Okay, so there are many, many things that you can do to help your brain reshuffle. Okay, start thinking in a different way. And again, someone said in the comments, practice makes perfect. Okay, I actually like saying practice makes mastery. And that's exactly what happens when you do it over and over again. But again, the first step is actually becoming aware of how you're thinking about something, what you're saying about something. Okay, so that is actually very, very important. Okay, so let's carry on now to something that in NLP we call submodalities. and internal representations. Okay, so I started the session by showing you the NLP communication model, which says that we absorb everything through our senses, 3 of them being visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, which is something that we mentioned in the previous session, or yes, in session 2. Now, also, when we form an internal representation of something, or the internal representation means the way we look at something. And very often we're not aware of as to how we're looking at something, okay? But we have this internal representation, and the chances are that this internal representation is obviously a combination of all these modalities: visual, auditory, and kinesthetic, okay? So whatever you might be thinking of, whether you're aware or unaware, it's a combination of these 3 things: visuals, sound, kinesthetic, which has to do with feelings when it has to do with internal representation. Now, the interesting thing, there's 2 interesting things here. Well, there's actually a 4th and a 5th internal representation, but those 2 others are somehow related to the kinesthetic side of things, which is the taste and smell. Okay, so that's also, for example, I don't know if you have this experience. I certainly do, which is, for example, when, let's say that it rains, right? And you've got this smell of the ground, that smell of the ground when it rains, okay? And immediately that smell can bring up a memory of some time in your life, of an experience that you've had in your life. Okay, so that's exactly how a certain smell comes with a certain internal representation. Okay, so it brings up a memory of something that you've already lived in your life. Okay, so yes, smell and taste can also are also part of it. But the thing is, when we talk about submodalities, is like, okay, but let's say, like, let's go to the metaphor and the fact that you came up with red, right? Red can have different shades. So is it dark red? Is it light red? What kind of red is it? Okay, that has to do with submodalities. It's like there's a scale for that visual representation. Okay, and for example, let's do this. Let me ask you, bright, not too dark. There you go. But for some people, it's probably dark, not too bright, or or it might be the red of a certain flower, or it might be the red of a certain thing. Okay, so this is exactly what we mean by submodalities, because red won't be the same red for everybody. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's think of, or let me ask you to think exactly red like a pomegranate. There you go. So let me ask you to think of a good memory. Okay, think of a good memory, something that you're extremely fond of. Okay, it might be a memory of a place, of an event, of a person. It doesn't matter. Okay, just bring that positive memory to your conscious awareness. Okay, and when you bring that positive memory to your awareness, this works better if you can close your eyes for a few minutes. Okay, Close your eyes for a few minutes so that what is outside is not interfering with your internal process. Okay, and focus on the image that you have in your mind. And let me ask you this. Is that memory, that image of that memory that came up to your conscious awareness, is it black or white or in color? Is it moving or is it static? Is it big or is it small? Is it bright? Is it vivid or is it fuzzy? What sensations do you feel? What sensations are there? And where are they located in your body? And I could go on and on and on asking questions. Okay. So what I'm doing here is looking for the submodalities. What does a good memory look like to you? What's the internal representation? And within the visuals, what are the characteristics of the visuals? Bright, fuzzy, big, small. Okay. Does it have a sound? Is it loud or low or soft? Okay. So this is, we're not aware very often. And I'm just going to use this positive memory. I'm not going anywhere else. Okay. But when I understand what the representation of that which came to your mind, how you represent it, and what are the characteristics, the fine characteristics of the experience, especially with negative ones, I'm not going there, but especially with negative ones, I will understand how I can help you change the way you're looking at it so that you can change your experience. Okay, does that make sense? Also, very often, sometimes we're stuck because we're stuck in a certain representational system, because we are seeing something and we can't go away from seeing it. So if I change in your mind by speaking to you and asking you to go into a different representational system, I'm helping you to go out of that vicious circle. And that's where the change can start. Because like Einstein would say, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Okay, and we cannot solve a problem at the same level that the problem appeared. We have to change it. Okay, so there you go. Geniuses. Genius, this Einstein. All right. So again and again, it's quantum physics, meaning you have to change the channel that is keeping you stuck. Are you stuck in a visual? Let's go into kinesthetics or auditory. Okay. Not that I would tell you what to do. I would ask you to do something differently. Okay. Because in coaching, there's no telling you what to do. Okay, there's asking you to do something, you'll know what you will do to change from visual to whatever other representational system that will be the most beneficial to you. Your mind will help you do that. Okay, so it's when you're stuck in a certain situation, for example, compare two visuals. Okay, even by comparing to visuals, bring up a good memory, bring up a not so good memory, okay, a challenging memory, and see what characteristics do they have. Do they have the same characteristics? I doubt it. Okay, I absolutely doubt it that they'll have the same characteristics. Okay, and that's how we want to change. We want to change the characteristics especially of the not so good memories, to be able to overcome the stuckness. Okay, so changing submodalities, changing representational systems, it's what actually helps people going from being stuck to be able to overcome whatever situation they're in. Okay, we can't keep doing the same thing. We can't keep using the same strategy. Okay, or definitely we will be stuck in the same way. So something's gotta change. Okay, something's got to change, something's got to give. Exactly, don't have the same characteristics. Minds are so fascinating. Yes, they are. Okay, so let's see. Someone asks me for an example of how to change submodalities. Okay, I'm going to give you an example, okay? And the example would be, now this works beautifully when some people come up with things like, I'm banging my head against a brick wall. Okay, so this is an expression in English, banging your head against a brick wall. Now tell me something, what is the submodality that, or rather, what is the representational system that is at play in here when someone says, I'm banging my head against a brick wall? Is this person in kinesthetics, visuals, or auditory? Okay, bingo. Absolutely, kinesthetic. Exactly. So the person is describing an action, banging his or her head against a brick wall. So what I would do exactly, kinesthetic. So what I would do would be, I would ask the person, and what does that brick wall look like? Okay, so what happens? I'm inviting the person to change representational system. And I'm asking the person to give me the submodalities of the image. Okay, so I'm taking the person away. Yeah, I'm taking the person away of the representational system in which the person is stuck. And I'm asking the person to go to a different one. And from that point, then I will keep working with it. Okay, and when we get to the sessions where I'm going to focus a little bit more on quantum healing, which is the tool that I use the most, and which is a branch of NLP, as I said in the workshop, in the initial workshop about NLP. When we go into those sessions about quantum healing, I will be giving you more examples of these exercises. Okay, so now for the moment, you know what it could be auditory, it could also be auditory. Yeah, it could be also auditory. Okay, so but that's what I mean by changing submodality, right? Changing changing representational system. Thank you very much. And asking people to focus on the submodalities of this different representational system will help trigger the change process. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Very good. Lovely. Good, good, good.
We got it, ma'am.
Let me see. I'm just looking. That's a very good question. There's a question about, for example, people with bad eating habits. Okay, how can we change that? We can change it in many different ways. I'll come back to it at some point. Okay. How can we get with more? Is that person a kid? What person? Banging the head against the brick wall? Is that it? I don't know. I don't. Okay. Soil eating. Okay, got it. Yeah, I don't know. Don't ask me because someone else asked the question. Okay, very good. So let's move on. Oh, the Milton model. Okay, let's go. So the Milton model is the opposite of the meta model. With the meta model, we want to chunk down. So we want to go from the surface where things are very superficial to go into the nitty-gritty of what the internal representation that the person has in his or her mind, or to explore what the person is telling us when speaking to us. So the meta model chunks down. Now the Milton model is exactly the opposite. It chunks up. Okay, so it makes language really, really broad. And that's exactly what I used when I took Yasir through the exercise. The way I did it, very much everybody, or those of you who decided to piggyback on the procedure, managed to get something out of it. Why? Because I was using broad language that for different people would bring up different internal representations, but that would get you to where you want to be.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so that means that the Milton model, now, if you remember, if you were with me in the workshop and the first session, so the NLP workshop and the first session, you know that one of the people that Richard Bandler and others studied was Milton Erickson, right? A hypnotherapist with very good results in his practice. And so that's the model for the Milton model. So it's very much hypnotic language, right? And hypnotic language is so broad that allows different people to experience it. Okay, so vague language, when I say, let me see if I can give you an example. When I ask you, for example, what animal are you with that challenge? See, this is vague. Everybody is going to come up with a different animal. So I'm not saying, oh, think you are a kitty, right? That's not vague language, right? So, you know, I could say, oh, think of yourself as a kitty in that situation. And some people would go like, a kitty? Why would I be a kitty, right? I didn't say that. I said, see yourself as an animal. What animal are you with that challenge? Different people are going to come up with different animals, probably. Some people might actually come up with the same. But if I would ask people to describe, even if it is like a snake, right? Some people might actually come up with different representations of a snake. Okay? For some people might be a black mamba. For other people, it might be something else. Okay? So that is vague language. It's using broad language, that different people can interpret in different ways. So not being specific, being broad, okay? So that's what the Milton model works like. And today, when we did that exercise, I already gave you an example of how it works, right? Because all of my instructions were broad, right? And therefore people could go through the process and, you know, come up with different solutions for themselves that were applied to themselves and that were relevant for themselves. Okay, and so this is another way, the Milton model, it's another way to bypass the subconscious mind, as you know, if you know certain things about, if you know how hypnotherapy works, okay? So, or hypnosis works, okay? So it's a beautiful way of bypassing the subconscious mind. Exactly. Everybody comes up with different representations of something. Okay, and then meditation and trance states, and we're approaching, my goodness, the end of this session. Oh, lovely. So very much meditation and trance states also allow us to bypass the subconscious mind. So meditation for some people can be quite challenging, but meditation is actually something that has, and it's been scientifically proven, that has an effect on your brain. First, because when you go into meditation, you go to a different brainwave from the brainwaves that we use when we are consciously aware. Okay, when we are in our vigilant state, when we are in our thinking process, meditation takes us to a lower brainwave, which is usually very close to those brainwaves when we're almost asleep. And as you know, when we are in those states, we are highly influenceable and we are highly suggestionable. Okay, so those brain waves actually help us go to a deeper level of consciousness where a lot of input can be fed into our subconscious mind. Okay, now it's been scientifically proven that 8 weeks of meditation practice shrinks a device that we have in our brain, the amygdala, that is the one that surveils the environment and sends us very often into what is called an emotional hijack state, which is the state where we go into survival mode. Okay, by shrinking the amygdala, you become less triggered. Okay, you become less reactive. You become more able to deal with your challenges. Okay, so that is one thing with meditation. And then you have the trance states. Now, trance states can also be very close to hypnosis. Okay, very, very close. Now, I've got clients that I take through processes in my coaching sessions that sometimes they tell me when I invite them to come back to talk to me, they often say, oh my God, I think I was so deep. It was almost like I was asleep. I can't remember what happened. It's fine. Okay, it's all good. Because at the end of the day, that means that your subconscious mind was working wonders. Okay, so there is absolutely no problem. I've had the same situation with meditations where people told me, I think I fell asleep. Okay, they didn't really fall asleep. In hypnosis, you also don't fall asleep. Okay, but you go into a state where your subconscious mind is open, and therefore you can work to overcome whatever challenges your subconscious mind usually comes up with. Okay, now it's very important that these meditation trance states, usually I would invite my clients to close their eyes because the journey is within. And if you close your eyes, we've already seen this, you're allowing your eyes to REM, to process, but at the same time, you're kind of shutting out the external world so that there is no interference. And that's exactly why some people go so deep in whatever state they go into, either in meditation or in the processes that I facilitate, where people go into trance states. And in those trance states, magic happens. Okay, and with that, I conclude my presentation on the dot. Okay, thank you. I thought it was going to be shorter, but I answered quite a few questions. Okay, and so to conclude, someone is saying here, it's actually, yes, here the meta model seeks to bring clarity and precision into communication. The Milton model deliberately tries to be vague and unclear in order to awaken associations and activate resources. Yasir, I couldn't say it better. Thank you so much. It's a beautiful summary of what I shared with you. Yes, absolutely, on the dot. It's very, very good. Yeah, you nailed it. Very good. Good, good, good. So there we go. I'm not going to necessarily, you can ask me a few more questions if you want. We are on the dot. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm willing to leave it at this. But if you have one question or, you know, a couple of questions, I don't mind. It's up to you. I know it's very late where you are. So I'm still okay. It's not too bad. And thank you so much for being here and for listening to me and for all your beautiful questions and all your beautiful shares. Okay, it was, in my opinion, another amazing. Okay, so let me see. I've got a question here. What NLP books do you suggest? Very good. I'm actually going to write this one down, and then I'll come back to you on that one. Okay. Because from the top of my mind, I can't, I've got many, but if I have to say which one should you start with, and then which one would I recommend after that, I'll have to think a little bit, okay? Because the ones that I have was after doing my training. So so the ones that I have were the ones that I read after my training. So let me think a little bit of what would be a good point to start, and then what could be the next step. Okay, so I'll think about it and I'll come back to you. How can these techniques help us with amending our relationships? Now, this, my friend, would take it would take a whole session to tackle that aspect, because I do not believe that one technique alone or a set of techniques will help. There's so much at play in relationships. So there's a whole lot of things. I mean, I do take people through processes where we work on that, okay? And it's not one size fits all, although there is a procedure, okay? There is a formula, so to speak, that I put together, and that I believe it's actually quite effective, but it takes a few sessions and different techniques to actually, you know, what I'm going to tell you is this: do you want to have better relationships? Know yourself first, okay? That's the first step. Learn to know yourself better.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Maria.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to say anything?
Me personally.
Should I end up the session?
No, it's the end of the session.
Okay. So thank you so much, Miss Maria. We had an amazing session with you. You are really awesome and amazing teacher. Thank you so much for your precious time, and thank you so much participants as well. Now moving towards some of the, you can say that, you know, obligations. Now we are having one announcement that the recording and certificate, as well as the PPT, the PowerPoint slides, will be given to those who have registered themselves for the certificate. And the link of the third class will be also given, fourth, to those who have registered themselves. Now moving toward the introduction of Fatimia Hope and Psychological Center, that what the organization is and what we are doing. Now we are having many sessions, many workshops with the youth, with the psychologists, with the people of each and every field, just to make them and just to assure that they are learning something, they're developing their abilities, and there is a little bit change in their personalities with the work of us. And similarly, as we have done the third class of NLP, we have learned that how to provoke and evoke our subconscious mind. How can we use the power of subconscious mind? And as well as how can we maintain our language, and how can we talk to people. So we have learned so many things. So thank you so much, Miss Maria. And once again, thank you so much to all of the participants that you all have joined us, and you all have given us your precious time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So I will conclude the session today. And there's a couple of things here. Some people asking for my number. I don't know if it is my phone number, but you can get it through the organization if you want. Okay, so that if you want, you can contact me on WhatsApp. Okay, so I have no problem with my phone number being shared, but the organization will do it. Okay, if they so see fit. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, all good. So exactly, very good. So again, thank you so much for being here, especially so late in the evening where you are, and I'm looking forward to see you again in our next session. For now, bye-bye.
And I have given the number of our CEO and founder in the chat box. Please check it out and get yourself registered as soon as possible if you want to join the 4th class of NLP. Thank you so much. And if you want to get the certificate as well.
Okay, very good. Okay, so bye now. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, ma'am. Allah Hafiz.
Okay, see you soon.
Okay.
Bye. Thank you.
Miss Maria, can you please tell the names of the books?
Like I said, I'm going to think about it so that I know exactly what would be a good recommendation to start, and then to follow up on that initial start, okay? Because I have many of them, but I have to think a little bit just in terms of, okay, for someone who's new to NLP, what would be probably the best one to read, to start with, and then which one would be next, okay? So I'll think about it, and either I will share it with you in our next session, or I will convey it to the hosts, to the organization, and they'll forward the information to you. Is that okay?
Okay, ma'am. I got it.
Okay, very good. Okay, so see you
Excuse me,
soon.
ma'am.
Bye-bye. Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes?
We are having ma'am, we are going to have more sessions, or just this one?
In total, there's 8 sessions. This is the 3rd, so there's still 5 to come.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. Okay, so now it's bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.